Good afternoon. My name is Latina Wilson. I am the chairperson of the Board of Education of Charles County. This afternoon, I welcome Dr. Maria Navarro, one of 3 superintendent finalists for Charles County Public Schools. Dr. Navarro, before I start with the interview questions, please take 2 minutes to tell our community about yourself.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited and humbled to really be one of the finalists for Charles County Public Schools. I'm a lifelong educator, and I chose to apply to Charles County because I have been following closely the great work that has been happening in schools. I've lived in Maryland for the past 15 plus years, and through my various roles in different school systems, I have reached out to Charles County Public Schools to seek places where you as a community are innovating and expanding options for students. And so I was very thrilled to have this opportunity. I hope that through my answers today, you're able to see my commitment to work with educators and the community at large to what I would say continuously work on improving the learning opportunities for every single student. So thank you for having me here today.
Well, thank you. So let's begin with the questions. Today's interview includes 5 questions selected by the Board of Education members. We surveyed the Charles County community for questions and pulled our choices from over 2,500 responses. I will read each question for you. Please try to answer each question within 2 minutes. Question number 1. What is your vision for Charles County Public Schools, and where do you see the system in 5 years?
Well, my vision is that Charles County Public Schools is an organization that is continuously improving and learning on how to meet the needs of every single student, so that when students leave the school system, they have the skills and the knowledge to be able to go on and do what they want to do. And hopefully the school system has been able to equip them with those skills and knowledge base. My vision is my vision, but I think it's more important to create a collective vision with the input of the educators, the parents, the community at large, because educating young people is a team effort. And so I look forward to the opportunity to be able to create a collective vision for where we will be. But I do think in 5 years, Charles County will continue with some excellent work that it has started. I see it expanding its programs for students at the high school level, its career readiness programs. But I also see it infusing some of the learnings from this past year of embedding technology and thinking about learning in flexible time frames. We don't always have to think about the school calendar or the school day as an opportunity for students to learn and engage and be enriched. And so I think we will see a school system that has thought through how to offer more options for students to learn, to thrive, and has embedded different ways, including technology, but other ways to more directly support their needs.
Thank you, Dr. Navarro. Question number 2. Despite numerous interventions in reading and math over the last several years and a focus on early childhood education, learning gaps continue to exist and even grow. What actions will you take to close these learning gaps?
Well, first and foremost, I think the school system has been doing improvement. And so if you look at the data for Charles County, there is improvement in a couple of areas and groups of students. It's not consistently across. And so I think this body of work needs to be very focused and intentional. My first priority would be to make sure that our data systems are not just giving us information about groups of students, but are really providing information about the individual needs, and really bringing in both educator perspective as well as assessment results to really pinpoint what the individual student needs are, but is also able to provide us with places where success is happening. The school system would not be experiencing places of improvement in its assessments if there weren't great teaching and learning happening. And so I think a strong assessment system can also tell us the places where teaching and learning is equating to student success, and take those places and connect educators to those best practices. I think the second important thing is, as I mentioned, education is a community activity. It's not an individual one. So getting the perspective from our educators and our families about the experiences of what works best to support the learning needs of their students is extremely important in developing that plan. So that would be my second point. And then third, and I think it's not new, but it is about continuously working on this, is we're a learning organization, so providing support and learning opportunities for our educators to unpack how to best meet the needs of students, along with the materials that are really evidence-based to best practices that work for all students. And I think this is an important continuous body of work. This is work of continuous improvement. It is not a one-day piece. This school system has been growing in size and the number of students that it serves. And I think this is the work that we need to continuously do and think about moving forward. So, I really want to hone in on how people are viewing the current state and what do they have available to support students, and what do those systems that we have tell us really about what students know and are able to do.
Question number 3. Discuss how you intend to ensure there is diversity, equity, and inclusion for all students and staff. Include 3 goals that will exist in your first year as an improvement plan.
Well, I think diversity, equity, and inclusion all have broad terms. But for me, if you take diversity, I would say that one of the areas that I want to continue to work on, and the system has strived to do this, but it needs to continuously do this work, is to really bring a diverse group of staff, not just educators, but all staff to the school system. Staff that are able to engage well with our students, staff that we can support their development so that they can grow and be able to support our students. So for me, diversity in the staff is extremely important. We need to continue to work on growing your own programs very early on, but we also need to think about how career changers and looking in other places to come to Charles County. And we know that families are coming to Charles County because it's been growing, and it's been growing quite a bit. So I think that's important. In terms of equity, when I think about equity for students, it's important to understand the experience that students have in schools. And that experience is not the same, even if students are sitting in the same classes. They're just different experiences. And so for me, one of my goals around equity specifically for students would be to look at the policies, the procedures, the requirements that we have around programs, and really looking at unintended consequences about who gets access and who gets supports, and is that equitable to meeting what students really need to achieve and really succeed in the school system. And then finally, in terms of inclusion, we learn not just in a great math class or science class or history class. Students also learn when they're part of the dance team, or they are playing in the band, or they're doing a sports. They learn a lot about that. And so for me, I think about inclusion not just in the classroom opportunities, in the programs in the classrooms, but also the overall environment of the school. I often think about what are the ways in which our procedures or our requirements sometimes exclude students. So I think, for example, of students with disabilities and wanting to access athletic opportunities or extracurricular activities. And so more broadly, I would like to think about inclusion in a way that really asks young people as well as our staff, what do you want to be part of in your school community? And then what processes and procedures and requirements do we have in place that maybe don't allow for that? And what are we going to do about it?
Question number 4. How do you plan to improve educator job satisfaction and retention?
Well, for me, I think it's important to listen. And I would like to say that when I think of educator, I actually think of the entire Charles County staff, from the bus drivers to food and nutrition, para educators to the central office staff, and obviously our teachers and our principals. I think it's important to listen. This was a very difficult year for educators. It was a difficult year for everybody, both professionally and at home. And it's important to think about, how do we continue to meet the needs of students? What I know for sure is, based on how Charles County staff went out of their way to provide lots of supports for students and families this year, I know that there's a lot of exhaustion, and there was a lot of quick learning that was thrown at them when we switched to this virtual environment. So I want to listen, and I want to get some great ideas from the people that are doing the work. And I want to think about what options that include flexibility can we provide to staff. So I come to this discussion really with open ears.
Question number 5. The pandemic has placed increased stress on students, staff, and community. What is your plan to address this mental and emotional health crises?
Well, as I mentioned previously, I think kudos to the staff at Charles County Public Schools for the programs, the engagement with families, the engagement with county resources to really bring opportunities for students and families and staff to talk about what they're experiencing, and also about to talk about how to support and continue learning, but know and understand that there's been a lot of trauma and changes that have been experienced by so many. My plan, my goal is to continue to collaborate with county agencies, the health services, and different organizations that support the overall well-being of students, not just during school hours, but also outside of school hours, because I think students will need wraparound supports. I'm a huge advocate of healing through multiple venues, including groups, student groups, the arts, the inclusion of the arts, the inclusion of students in different extracurricular activities where they can talk about what they're going through. But this is a topic that we need to continue to work on. I think it's been elevated this year as critically important to making sure that students are ready to learn. And I think for me, working with staff to not just to continue programs, but also to think about different ways in which we can continue to engage families and students is critically important moving forward.
Thank you, Dr. Navarro, for your answers. On behalf of the Board of Education, thank you for joining us today. Please take 2 minutes to provide any closing remarks you would like to add.
Thank you. As I mentioned, I'm humbled and really excited to have this opportunity to join the Charles County community. Indeed, I am excited at the opportunity, both professionally, because I think that my varying experiences across districts and across states, and also working with national organizations, could be an asset to the collective educator experience of Charles County in mobilizing, again, excellent opportunities for every single student. I will tell you on a personal note that Charles County is very, very appealing because we have family there. We have family that has lived in Charles County for many years, and I have seen in the last 15 years sort of the changes that have come as the county sort of experienced the boom. And it's just it's a great opportunity for us to be able to be part of this community. And so I hope that what you see in what you hear from my experiences is an educator that really believes in the collective experience and knowledge of an organization and the opportunity to be able to serve the students and the families of Charles County. Thank you.
Thank you again. Charles County Public Schools is posting the recording of this interview and a community feedback survey on the school system website, ccboe.com. Look under the quick links menu located on the right-hand side of the home page and scroll down to click on Superintendent's Finalists. The survey closes at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, May 25th. Thank you again, Dr. Navarro.
Thank you.